So you have mastered the standard select tag. You can find it, click it, and pick an option from it with your eyes closed. You feel like you are Selenium wizard until you meet Dropdown that humbles you. So for every standard HTML select element, there are dozens of custom built, beautifully designed, and utterly frustrating non-standard alternatives. They look better, they feel smoother, but for your automation script, they are a black hole of element not interactable exception error. So if you are ready to move beyond the basic and learn how to automate the dropdowns that actually exist in modern web, this is where we begin. Also, along with that, we are going to touch base on WebDriver waits, asserts, handling tabbed windows or tabbed layouts. Okay, so this would be very high level usage of these concepts, but I have separate video coming up on those topics where we'll get into the details of it. So on this particular page, we had seen this earlier. So earlier we were referring to these primary examples that we had. I have moved them to a tabbed window. So we are referring to the second tab here, where we have majorly based, the fields are based out of the non-standard dropdowns that we see. So the difference is in the select dropdown, if you click on it, you just get an options to select. But here you have to type something to get an option generated. Okay, let's say I write Java, right? So the difference here is these options are already in my DOM. So they are already written on the page, but I'm not able to see it, which is similar to this option, but you get all the options listed here once you click on it. Here you have to write something to get a suggestive text generated, and you select that option based on whatever you have typed here. Okay. Now the second one that we have here is an AJAX-based. So the difference between the first and second one is AJAX requests are basically something which goes back to your database. So ideally this field is designed in such a way that it goes back to a database, pulls up data from that field based on whatever I am typing here. Okay. So let's say I am typing again Java here. So it brings Java and JavaScript here. So this call is made from the database. So both look-wise, feel-wise, it's still the same, but AJAX-based makes an asynchronous call to a database or to a data source and pulls the options based on whatever I'm typing here. Okay. The third one here is it's kind of hidden suggestion where you don't see anything right now, but as soon as you click on it, you get the options listed here. But this is not the same as the select dropdown here. Here also you get these options, but you can typecast this as select and select the options. But here it's a text field, which is a different text field. And then you have this suggestion tag or suggestion division, which is a different web element. So you have to select from these web element and then the actual field gets populated. Okay. The last one is nothing. I have just kept it to kind of practice your XPath or CSS approach rather than just using an ID or name approach. So let's head back to our PyCharm. So, okay. So the very first thing that we want to do in today's script is whenever I load my page. So I have loaded this page. So it by default comes to the select dropdown. The first thing that I want to do is I want to select non-select dropdown, this tab. Okay. To do that, I'll have to inspect it. All right. And we have to do it in such a way that I am able to get the exact location or exact XPath, whatever you feel like. You can use the text property as well to click on it. I'm going with the XPath and we'll see how to cut short the actual XPath that we have. So it says ID main section, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now I see it's on the ID. Let's say I have this class, right? Class here as tab button. So I'm going to use this. So what I'll do is I'll say /* or better I'll use a division tag with @ I'll paste the entire thing. Okay. So it hits this particular tab buttons and I want to click on the second one. So I'll just say /button. I'll say button of 2, right? How many elements generated? 1 of 1. So this is hitting this particular tab. Done. Using the same thing, I'll go back to my PyCharm. Okay. So I have updated the same thing here. Now the first thing that we are doing here is I'm clicking on the tab so that I'm referring to the correct tab here. Okay. So this would be like this. Now the next thing we want to do is come to this field. So let's see how we are going to do that. So I have kept a reference. I'm anyways going to put this on Git. So I have kept a reference of what is the main difference in select and non-select dropdown in terms of your Selenium scripts. Okay, so for a select dropdown, it's going to be a pretty straightforward approach. For a non-standard dropdown, you have to find the element or the text box, and then you have to enter a key in it, or say enter a text in it, and that text will generate some list of suggestions for you. You have to select that suggestion, right? So let this be commented. This is just for your reference. Now the next thing that we want to do in the field is I have figured out that, one second, let me uncomment this. So this is a field that we are referring, and where is it? Yes. So it says the ID is autosuggest. So I have written autosuggest ID, and in this field I am sending the keys Java. That's it. Let's see what happens if I do this. So I'll run this. Alright, it came up. It entered Java here. So it has two options listed, Java and JavaScript listed here. Right? Cool. Now we'll advance to the next step. Now what we want to do is, after writing Java, I need to wait for the suggestion box or the options to be appeared on my window. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a wait command using the WebDriver wait. Okay. Until here, it's still the same. I am just going to the text box, writing JA in it. Now I say wait. Now WebDriver wait is another class. It comes with Selenium. So if you want a reference of it, this is the WebDriver wait. Okay. So typical syntax is you have to pass your driver instance and your seconds, like how many seconds you want to wait for it. Okay. So it will be waiting until these many seconds. Now to use it, you are going to use another class, another method, which is until. So with this wait.until, EC is another class. It is called expected conditions. Okay. So what EC is this is also a part of Selenium, and expected conditions is abbreviated as EC here. Okay. So I have imported it as EC. Okay. Now if you go here, you just have to say wait until EC or expected conditions. This has a lot of expected conditions in it. Okay. If you want to explore this, EC dot, you do that, and then you will get a lot of options, which is kind of built in for EC. Okay. Element attribute to be included, element to be clickable, element to be selected. So ideally, element to be clickable is mostly used, or right now I have used visibility of element located. Okay. I just want the element to be visible on my UI. Okay. So what I have done, so expected condition, visibility of element located, I have passed the ID as suggestion. What is suggestion? Suggestion is nothing but this particular dropdown that is coming up here. Okay. So if you see here, this UL, okay, is having an ID of suggestion, and inside this UL, I have other lithium tag or LI, which has these suggestion items listed here, right? So the same thing I'm doing here. I am using a WebDriver wait with an expected condition of this element to be visible. Which element? An element which has an ID of suggestion. And then I'm just printing whatever I'm getting in the suggestion UL or unordered list. Right? Let's run this. Okay, so it opened, it came here, wrote this. Let's head back to PyCharm. Now you see it has printed Java and JavaScript, which is the values that are listed here. So this is how you pull back text from a particular suggestion, right? So you have to inspect the suggestion element or whatever is the web element in which the suggestion is coming up, and then you have to kind of get text of those particular web element. Okay, now I'm commenting this. I'm moving on to the next example. So we have clicked on the field. We have wrote something on it. We were able to read the suggestion. The next thing is to click on a particular lithium tag or click on a particular suggestion. So if we had inspected here, so these suggestions are nothing but lithium tag, LI tags, right? So what we are going to do here is in the next example, we are finding the text box, writing py on it, and I want to click Python. Say this is Java, right? I just wrote Python, py. Python comes up. I want to click on this Python. Pretty straightforward. So I come here, I give the same. So here, if you see, I had given WebDriver wait as in a different line, but you can also kind of concatenate the entire line into just one single line. So how we did that is, so we just use WebDriver wait and specified the wait time with the driver instance dot until expected condition element to be clickable. So I was telling you element to be clickable is the most used one. Okay. So element to be clickable. And I'm giving the XPath. The XPath is again text-based. So li, and I have used a method called contains text, which is Python, right? So if my li tag contains Python, or the first li tag which will contain Python will be selected using this. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so you see it was quite fast. It just came here and selected Python, and execution was finished. Right now, moving on to the next one. This is again handling AJAX-based, dropdowns. So nothing fancy, it's just another dropdown. But the only catch is the values that we are fetching in the suggestion is coming from a database or from a different data source, and it is not loaded in your DOM. Okay. So only thing that you should be cautious about here is you just have to give it enough time to fetch the data. That's it. Okay. There's no rocket science involved in this from testing point of view, but you just have to be very sure that you give the dropdown certain seconds, or you just have a wait condition attached to it so that it waits for the actual element to appear. Okay. Now, also a difference in this AJAX approach versus the non-AJAX approach is the non-AJAX approach, the options are already in your DOM. So the elements are visible in the DOM, but for AJAX-based, they are not yet visible in the DOM. As soon as you start typing, the request is made in the backend, and then those values are populated to your UI or to your screen. So be careful with the timing. Okay. So let's run this also. Approach is still the same. I just have the same command, literally whatever I wrote earlier, I have written the same thing, just the WebDriver wait until the element is clickable, and the XPath I have suggested here. But instead this time the LIs were inside a division tag. So I gave a division tag which contains text as go. Let's run this. So it selected go, and here you see selected via AJAX go, right? So that's the kind of success message that I had put on this page for you guys to practice more, so that you are aware that what you have clicked is correct. So this was also done. Now, so this I had kept here just for your reference, like whenever you guys are practicing or you want more insight about how this works, AJAX versus the non-AJAX ones. So this is one expected condition where I'm just checking for the visibility of a particular element, right? So the element is available on the UI, but it's not visible on the UI. So this particular, a simple non-select dropdown would have the elements listed somewhere in the page. If you check with this is more than enough to kind of verify whether the element is available to you or not. Whereas for the AJAX one, we have to wait for the elements to be created and added to the DOM. Okay. It is not available in the page. I have said this earlier as well. So in AJAX, they are not in your page. It comes from a different data source once you start clicking on those particular text boxes. All right. Moving on. Now there are some XPath or CSS strategies I have listed here. In case if you want to run through them, you can. So you are combining a division tag using an AND property, and then you are using the text property and selecting Python. Okay. Then you have a class reference also. You have a division tag with multiple or two different constraints, two different properties to identify the web element. So I have just given a mix of it. So this becomes handy, or this becomes kind of a reference point when you are actually browsing through multiple web pages. Okay. So these are a bit, I would say, not a standard way of how you are going to select, but yes, this makes things easy. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk here is how do you validate that whatever you have selected is the right value? Okay, like I have always spoken about submitting a form. So before submitting a form, you just have to pull all the fields value and put it to a log or put it to a certain data place where you say this is the values I used to submit the form, and based on that you can investigate what happened in the flow. Okay, so pulling back values is also the same. You just have to kind of get the value that you have in your screen or in the field. So what I have done here is I have used something called, so input field is still the same. This is my input field. I am writing Python here. As soon as Python is listed in the suggestion box, I'm clicking on it. After this is done, I am going to this input field and I'm just like a text box. I am using get attribute value and it should return me Python. Now, the thing that I want to talk here is how to use an assert. Okay, so assert is basically a keyword which is used for validation during the test execution. So it basically checks whether a particular condition is true or not. If it is not true, it will raise an assertion error. So a typical syntax would be an assert keyword, then the condition to be verified, followed by a failure message. Okay. So what we are doing here is I have used assert and the selected value. I am expecting this to be Python. So I'm just writing here selected value is equals to Python or not. If it is not Python, then I'm going to write expected Python, but got whatever the value I'm getting from the field. Okay. And if it is Python, then I'm not doing anything here. All right. And in the second one, I am validating the validation message on my screen. So what is validation message? So say if I'm writing Python here, like we did. So I say Python, I click on Python and this message comes up. So I'll take a note of this message. I'll grab this, I'll get the text of that particular message and I'll validate whether it is the same message that I'm expecting or not. So ideally it should be. So ideally I am expecting whatever is the message. It says selected Python. So what I am doing here is I'm just validating whether in that particular text I am getting Python or not. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, I think it's not working. It failed. Let's see why. Oh, it's because of these XPath that I have commented. So either of these XPath is not working. That's the reason why it failed. Okay, so let me comment this and rerun. Okay, so it entered Python here. Selected Python message was displayed. Now let's see what happened here. So now in this particular assert, nothing has failed. So it went ahead and finished the execution. Let's change this to Java. Okay. So what I am doing is I am going to select Java from the dropdown, but I am still going to check whether I have Python displayed or not, which would not be the case. So in that scenario, assert will throw you an error. Okay, the first one will throw an error message. The second one will give you the exception raised. So if you see this error message, it says assertion error, expected Python but got Java, right? So this is from this error. Now, a good thing about assertion is, a property of assertion is, if the assertion fails, it would fail your script and it would not go to the subsequent lines. So it stopped here. The execution got terminated here itself. So it never went and checked the next lines. All right. So we'll talk more about assertion and verify those things in a separate video. I'll make a separate one on these topics. But for now, moving on to the next example, and I'm commenting this one. The next one is on the handling the text boxes, which are kind of hidden. The options are hidden. Only when you click on it, it gets generated. So if I have to talk about this, I am referring to this particular text box where there is, if you click on this particular text box, the option comes up. So the approach is similar. You just have to click on it first, then write a text in it, and then select the options that you have. So to inspect it, the input ID is hidden auto suggest. The division tag which holds the value is hidden suggestions. So I'll use the same thing in my script. Here, I'll come here. So this is my hidden auto suggest, which is the field. I am clicking on it first. Then I am waiting for the options to appear. Okay. And from that option, without typing anything, I'm just selecting Python programming, which is available on the screen. So this is, I haven't typed anything yet. I'm just clicking on this Python programming, okay, based on the actual text displayed. So I have used the text property here, or the text method. So what I'm doing here is, until here it's still the same. I'm clicking on it. Here again, I'm waiting for the elements to appear. And then as soon as it is appeared, I am going to that division tag and selecting another division tag inside this, which has a text of Python programming. All right. This is also straightforward, nothing fancy. Let's run this. Python programming is selected. Clear? All right. So this is the last one that I have here, another example. So what this does is, it's still the same one that we have referred, but it's only for the last division tag that I have used. But instead of using a CSS or XPath, I've just used the ID. I'm leaving this open for you guys to tell me what would be an XPath or CSS to approach to this particular web element. So right now this is working with ID, but I want to change this to XPath or CSS. So this is an open question to you guys. Let me know in the comments. So it's a wrap on the select or the drop-down elements, how you handle the drop-down elements, be it the naive ones or the custom ones. And in the next one, we are going to talk about alerts, and we'll see if we can take some examples on exception handling as well. Right. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.